Why isn't it there anymore? Oh, because I grouped them together. The YouTube algorithm's been pumping no input mixing in my face really hard. I don't know if that's all of us, but it's definitely me. And it's my first exposure to it, but I really should have found out about this like when I was 16. It's like a whole personality type, I feel like. But just in case you don't know what no input mixing is, it's when you take a mixer, you feed it into itself, and then it just creates feedback. You turn a knob, and then the mixer starts sending signals inside of itself, and it doesn't exactly know what to do, and it's a little unpredictable, and you're like, oh, and that's it. You're just like, oh. So I can't afford a mixer right now, but I have a bunch of guitar pedals. I have this cheap, crappy pedal that for some reason is like $80 all of a sudden. I bought this for 20. Don't buy this. Buy a Behringer pedal. I'll explain why. I have one input right here. This is a mixer output. This one would go to my amp. I'm going to take my patch cable, plug it into my input, into one of my outputs. It's literally a loop. Through that loop, we have feedback. We can hear the feedback through this. Now, to add more unpredictability to the loop, instead of just processing the output with effects, we could unplug this, add more guitar pedals here, and then tap back into the loop. And then all those guitar pedals, in a way, are part of an oscillator. I tried it with some of my more expensive pedals. I've tried it with some cheaper pedals. Ultimately, I think more expensive pedals are more resistant to feedback because we usually don't want feedback in our music. So these cheaper pedals just like sound like crap, and that's kind of what we want. So get a Behringer pedal. Any Behringer pedal that has an input and two outputs for work, they're like 20 to 40 bucks, somewhere in there. And they're not bad either. Like a lot of them are going to be better than this. I have a VD400. It's like an analog delay. It's good enough, but it also does this really well, and it does it better than my Boss DD3. The sound of the more expensive Boss pedal is like thinner. There's not as much feedback. So, how can we do this in Bitwig? Hopefully, you have this plugin. Maybe you had it and then got rid of it because you don't know what to do with it. It's a little unpredictable, a bit crazy, but it is a sound design beast. Not many people talk about it, but every once in a while, someone like Mr. Bill will like name drop it for just a second. So I want to show off some of my work. Here's some samples. I essentially made a granular synth patch right here, distorted it. I ran it through the frequency echo with two knobs on my MIDI controller, and I processed it for fun. Although I probably didn't need this chorus, I ended up monoing it out. Yeah, so you can get this on my Patreon, or you can ignore that and just learn how to do this in Bitwig. So first things first, get the frequency echo, turn the feedback all the way up, have some way to monitor the volume. The mix is just going to make it louder. It's just going to be a fade. Let's duplicate this. Mute that. See, no feedback, feedback. And you can get to self-oscillate in a rhythmic fashion. Now, pitch really doesn't matter here, but I just like to play with the auto pitch. Turn on the auto pitch. You see the auto pitch won't process it too well, but it's fun to see what it does sometimes. I'll try to keep it on the lower end because that does get painful if you're not asking for it. It only took a couple minutes of playing around with that before I was like, oh my god, I'm in Bitwig. Now we're in real sound design territory. We can really build something to ride out. So we'll mute that, come over here, unmute that. Just throw another LFO. The random can be cool. Sixteenth note, that is starting to hurt my ear. Put this one on mono. It already is. Let's try that one. Let's just throw some Stardust on there. That's something you'd send a mixing console into. It's kind of like no input mixing, but it's not true input mixing. Let's see if we can get a little closer. I don't know if this will work. Well, it should work. Why wouldn't it work? All right, so I'm going to throw one there. Audio 4 will be going into audio 3. Audio 3 will be going into audio 4. Now I want to kill an output. So I want to output to audio 3. And then that's going to my master. So I'll find a tone. Okay. Okay. So they're kind of doing the same thing. Obviously, we can do whatever we want here, and I really want to start processing things like crazy. But I think it would be smarter if I took a macro. Let's just grab 4. I'll pull the shift all the way down and give me full control with the macro. I'm going to take that same macro over here with the delay and the loop, right? I'm taking the loop delay and the feedback shift. Here's my feedback. Here is my loop. Watch the knobs. You should see contrary motion. we're getting closer to no input mixing, because if I want to, say, process a reverb here on this sound, I think it would be smarter to use an FX bus and take the group signal, because if I mute this, yeah, I'm not getting anything from that muted loop. But if I just put a reverb here, that will feed into the loop. And you could just put it on the group, I guess. It is a bus. But I think I want to use a send. The modulation would be different. This is one I've learned from a Tycho interview. Although I don't do it exactly the way he does it. You send a reverb into a delay, into a compressor, and then you send multiple things through that bus, and it's like an ambient type of trick. All right, so let's mute it, do it without the verb. I like that. I think it's helping. Why isn't it there anymore? Oh, because I grouped them together. Okay, let's just recap real quick. I'm taking these two audio tracks. Each of them have a frequency echo, and I'm generating feedback with both of them. Then I am taking the audio from feedback, sending it into my loop, which is being sent through all this, which is more feedback, and it's being sent back through feedback. So it's just a straight up loop. This is just my audio channel. If I mute that, you shouldn't hear it. So unmute. And as I said earlier, I have set up contrary motion between the delay within the loop and the shift within the feedback. But you can choose any knob you want and move them in any direction you want. But when they're moving as a unit, that's when we're going to get some really special results. Unmute. go back into this one and find this echo. That's cool. Yeah, you just need to try this for yourself. You don't have a reason not to. This is a free plugin. Literally just process and process and process till your mind explodes. It's Sound Design Power Hour. I can't even say something cool enough to end it on. Hit that like button for me. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you like what you hear, check out my Patreon. There's some wavetables, there's some samples, pigments, presets. I'm just going to keep uploading to it.